Hello, everyone. We're back with Ken Dombrowski, executive life coach and master hypnotist. And today I want to discuss why people may self-sabotage even though they really, really want something.
Well, that's something that we're all struggling with. The thing that we have to understand, and this is completely contradictory to what we might call social convention, is that someone believes that they're self-sabotaging when they're doing something progressive for themselves, and then for some reason they just shift going back in a different, in a negative direction again. They go, oh, I self-sabotaged. And that makes sense, again, conventionally speaking, but it's really not how the mind works. What we have to be able to do is get an understanding for the subconscious mind, and it's really not that, it's complex, but it's not all that complicated. Your subconscious has programs. There's programming in your subconscious that says, this is my life. Just that simple. And there are millions, billions, even trillions of programs in your head dedicated to how your life is expected to go. So that's the program. You self-sabotage when you decide to deviate from that program. That's the actual sabotage. So you decide to go in a progressive personal growth direction, and you start making some progress, and it feels great, and then you get reverted back to your original program. So the sabotage was trying to deviate from your deeply rooted subconscious program. Doesn't matter if it's positive or negative. Subconscious doesn't look at it like that. It just is. And it says, okay, we'll go ahead and go along with this little playful thing for a while that they want to do, but eventually we're going to go back to where we were. So the sabotage really is in the progress, not the digress. And that's the first thing you got to understand. Next thing to understand is, how do we overcome that? Well, there's only one way known in mental health sciences today to affect change in the subconscious programming, and that's hypnosis. That's it. There's no drug, no pill, no shot. There's nothing else can happen to change that subconscious programming. And sorry to say this, my friends of psychology, they're dealing with the conscious mind. We deal with the subconscious mind. So that's why a person can go to 10, 20, 30 years of psychotherapy and never make the progress that they want, because they're trying to resolve a subconscious programming issue using conscious mind techniques.
Right, because when you think about it, like when you look at modern medicine or prescription drugs that people may end up taking, it's a Band-Aid, not a solution. So like we look at root causes and everything like that versus just trying to fix what's already broken, or like cover up what's already broken is more what they're doing. And we want to fix what made you break in the first place. Mm-hmm. So like, self-sabotage is the idea of you're trying to create progress, and then your body's like, or your subconscious is like, nope, never mind. That's just like, the comfort zone. We've talked about that before. Anytime you try and deviate from your comfort zone, you're going to have a really hard time. Doesn't mean you feel comfortable in whatever you're experiencing, but your subconscious is comfortable with that pain or that emotion or that feeling, because it doesn't like change. It's never going to like change. You have to put yourself in a position to create change, and that's what hypnosis is.
Well, I like to use this quote from one of the most profound places you can imagine, the movie Deadpool.
Clearly.
This big buildup, like you think it's going to be some great philosopher. Nope, it was Ryan Reynolds said this in Deadpool. There's a part in this movie, and anyone who's seen it might remember, and I'm sure I'm gonna not get it right exactly, but it's gonna be close, where he says, "Life is a series of train wrecks with brief commercial-like interruptions of happiness and joy, and we now return you to your regularly scheduled program." And then he falls down because he didn't know was filled with cancer. Mm-hmm. So that kind of gives a little bit of an understanding. If you can consider your life to be a series of train wrecks, things are happening that you don't like, that you don't want, and you don't know why they keep going. It's because your subconscious is convinced this is simply the life I'm supposed to be living. So when we get a little brief moment of happiness, I can go on vacation. We feel great on vacation because we've gotten away. We're taking 1 week out of the entire year. a brief commercial-like interruption to get completely away from all of our stress and tension and problems, getting away from our home, from our work, from all that stuff. Oh, hey, we had such a great time on a vacation for a week. But as soon as you get back home, all the same problems and stresses and issues are waiting for you, and it's gone the next day. It's not like that happiness lasts you for 6 months.
That's actually interesting that you use that example, because the older I get, the less I'm actually a fan of traveling, because I like my house. I like my routine. I like my day-to-day. So for me, like, going on vacation, I'm like, okay, I actually want to go back to what I'm doing. You know what I mean? Like, it doesn't feel like a break anymore. Mm-hmm. I'm like, okay, well, I miss my dog and I have this phone call to do, or I want to be in my own space, you know?
Well, congratulations, Lauren. You have what we call a well-balanced life. That you have a work-life balance that is actually working for you, and that's your program, and that's where you're the happiest. You know, your mom and I are the same way. We've traveled, but every time we travel, we get 2 or 3 days into a trip. Could be in the most beautiful, luxurious resort on a beach with an umbrella and a coconut drink in our hand, and we look at each other and go, I'd really like to just go home now.
Yeah.
Because we are super happy, super comfortable in our own space. We're not trying to get away. We're not trying to run away. And that's one thing I notice people say, oh, we just got to get away for a while. Well, gosh, I'm so sorry your life sucks so hard that you gotta get away from it. Mm-hmm. I don't got to get away from my life.
Right. It's also how I feel when, like, because, you know, like, most of the time you're taking vacations with the people you spend your normal day-to-day with anyway. So whenever I see these couples that are taking vacations separately, I'm like, oh no, you know, there's probably something going on there. Or maybe that's their form of self-sabotage, because, like, clearly something's not great to me personally if you're not vacationing with the closest person to you. Like, that's a red flag that you do actually need to get away from this person.
Yeah, I think that you'd call that one of those red flags, right? There's something going on in that relationship that really needs to be looked at.
Well, and I mean, like, back to, you know, the idea of self-sabotage, I think, you know, taking a bunch of vacations or feeling like you need a bunch of vacations, or like planning this vacation you never take, those all can be forms of self-sabotage. You know what I mean? Like, you take a vacation to blow up whatever's going on in your life, or you sit there and you dream of this place you always want to go to one day, but you never actually make a move to get there. Like, this is just kind of all of those things that in the back of your mind, like, maybe it's like you don't actually deserve it or whatever it may be, because a lot of the things people self-sabotage on is going to be like weight loss and business/career ventures. Those are going to be places where people tend to fall apart, because, like, you can stick with it for a little bit, but it's not enough to create subconscious change and long-lasting change, therefore. Or, like, they believe they deserve to be overweight in their eyes, or fail at business before they try, because it's easier to never succeed and then fail than it is or it's easier to just fail right away, like choose failure, than succeed and then lose it.
Yeah, we get people have a fear of failure. That's kind of a common thing. I have a fear of failure, but my fear of failure drives me to try harder and do more. Most people, 95% of people, fear of failure paralyzes them. Now, out of people who might have a fear of failure, then it becomes identified as actually a fear of success is a bigger fear. Fear of success is really powerful, because the subconscious mind has already done the calculations for you. What if what I want to do and go after, I'm successful, and then I mess it up, or then it goes away or gets taken away, or whatever that might be. Now I'm going to suffer this massive crushing embarrassment, and everyone around me is going to know that I did this thing and it fell apart, and now I'm trying to pick up the pieces of my life. How do I look those people in the eye? You know, so people become paralyzed by a fear of success, as if I reach it, how do I keep it?
I think kind of another piece of that, though, is like the natural delusion that you have when you're starting a project for the first time, because it's literally all sunshine and rainbows and hunky-dory, because, like, you're envisioning the best case scenario, and things don't best case scenario the first time or the first 100 times. So it's also like the amount of times that you have to hear the word no, or hit a snag, or change up the plan a little bit, or whatever it may be. Like, it's not it's not going to go straight up. You're not going to skyrocket and just keep going and going and going. It's bouncy as shit. So that's like the other thing, and that's part, of the fear of success or for fear of failure, both of them, is you have this delusion that it's just going to hit and it's going to work out, and it's just never the case. And that creates a lot of self-sabotage because you're like, well, I got one no, I'm done. I'm out of the game.
That's exactly what happens. People get fixated on one no, one thing that didn't go the way they expected it, and they give up because they're kind of crushed. I was a general contractor years ago when you were a little girl, of course, you remember. And it was easy to tell the subcontractors that I would hire, because I've hired hundreds, if not even thousands, subcontractors over those years, is that the subcontractor would do their work, but there'd be some reason as to why we wouldn't be able to pay them this Friday like we might expect, because there was something more that needed to be done on the job that they didn't finish, or they didn't have the proper paperwork like insurances and stuff like that submitted, so we could pay them. And when you have to tell them, they lose their frickin' mind. They start yelling at you on the phone and swearing. They can't handle the fact that they're not going to get a check today, what they were expecting, even though you told them 2 months ago when you started that job, you have to have all your paperwork in alignment before we can pay you. So I kind of use that and extrapolate on that, of course, across all kinds of areas of life. Someone who has a huge adverse response to just a small piece of news that isn't exactly what they expect, that's how you can tell that person is probably not fitted for what they're doing. They're new to it. They have expectations that are just not reasonable.
Yeah, because it's like personal responsibility has to match your goals, and your motivation and everything like that. Like, you can't just decide that you want to be this person and then put no effort into being said person. And that's where a lot of self-sabotage comes in. Is like people will set themselves up for failure by aiming too high, because we're told our entire childhood at school, probably at home, you can be whatever you want to be. No, you can't. Absolutely not. There's no version of this world where we can just decide. Like, less than 1% of the population becomes A-list famous. Less than 1% of the population becomes a millionaire or billionaire for, a decade or whatever it be, or more. Like, the idea that we can all be that person is just unbelievably impossible, nor are we all suited towards it. Some people don't have the, basic skills, instincts, whatever you want to call it, personality traits to be certain things. And that's totally fine. It's also a matter of making sure that you're happy and the right kind of comfortable with the life that you lead. That's extremely important as well.
All really good points, definitely. And so what we're going to do in our program, first thing we're going to find out what are the unwanted behaviors. Then we're going to find out what your goals are. So we're going to get those unwanted behaviors out by reprogramming the subconscious mind to open you up to be able to get to those goals.
And remember, just because you think you might understand everything you're saying or already know the things that we're saying consciously does not mean your subconscious gets it. You can understand all the things we're saying and feel like you know what we're going to say before we say it, but that doesn't change the fact that we need help. We can't magically be these people on our own in our own brain. That's just not how it works. Outside sources need to help us once in a while. That's why you pay to go to a gym. That's why you pay to get flu shots or whatever it is. Like, we all do things because we can't physically possibly sustain ourselves on our own. So just remember that. You can feel like you have the answers, but that doesn't mean it all falls into place. He still needs help with things. I'm his kid. I work with him. I understand everything he's doing. I still walk into the office like I need help right now. So none of us are under the impression that we're perfect in this field, and we understand that even though we may feel we know so many things consciously, our subconscious is always going to be in a little bit of turmoil regardless of who we are and what we're experiencing.
Again, all very well said.
All right, well, if you think you know things consciously or you need help consciously as well as subconsciously, please visit our website, give us a call. The link will be in the description, and I hope you have a good rest of your day. Bye now.
Thank you. Bye-bye.